The wind howled via the barren wasteland, carrying with it the dirt and particles of 1,000 forgotten empires. Alone Determined stood towards the backdrop of a loss of life solar, its haggard face etched with the lines of existence that had spanned millennia. They wore tattered gowns that fluttered in the breeze, their once white hair streaming in the back of them like a banner of eternity. This turned into the human referred to as Althea, the last dwelling being to undergo the uncommon and mysterious durability gene that had once talented her with immortality. Now, inside the twilight of her unnaturally lengthy lifestyles, she became little more than a withered husk, her once radiant eyes dulled via the burden of centuries. Yet, regardless of her frailty, there has been an air of mystery, of information and resilience that emanated from her very being. It became as though the universe itself had selected her as its witness, its chronicler, its conscience. For Althea had seen it all: the upward thrust and fall of empires, the birth and demise of stars, the evolution and extinction of endless species. She had watched as extremely good civilizations had risen from the ashes of their ancestors, best to crumble under the load of their own ambition and hubris. She had been gift on the Sunrise of Space tour, and had even journeyed to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, exploring worlds that no different dwelling being could even start to imagine. But, as she stood there now, her tired body aching with the burden of millennia, she could not help but feel an ordinary experience of serenity wash over her. For she knew that, despite the infinite cycles of advent and destruction that surrounded her, something fundamental had modified. She may want to experience it within the air, flavor it within the dirt on her lips. It was the know-how that, for the primary time in untold eons, there was existence accessible somewhere, lifestyles that did now not depend upon the ancient, forgotten technology that had as soon as been the pride of her species. Life that did no longer want her, or everybody like her, to survive. A smile crept across her weathered face as she became her gaze upwards, closer to the stars. Perhaps, she notioned, there have been others out there who had additionally survived, others who had been gifted with the same atypical blessing and curse of longevity. Perhaps they too had been watching the galaxy spread, recording its records in their personal ways. And perhaps, sooner or later, they would locate every different, and proportion their stories, and their understanding. The wind howled once more, stirring the tattered folds of her robes, and Althea closed her eyes, letting the reminiscences wash over her like a acquainted tide. She thought of the lengthy useless lovers she had recognized, the battles she had fought, the wonders she had visible, and the knowledge she had won. She notioned of the countless instructions she had discovered, and the understanding she had earned via countless errors and regrets. And because the final embers of the demise sun dipped below the horizon, she knew that, no matter all of it, she were fortunate. Lucky to have lived so long, fortunate to have seen a lot, fortunate to have played even the smallest element inside the grand dance of existence. And as the stars commenced to twinkle into life overhead, she took one final breath, and let move, surrendering her weary frame to the cold, unforgiving embrace of the universe. For a moment, there was simplest silence. Then, from the distance, a faint howl cut through the darkness, carried at the wind. It became the lonely, haunting cry of a creature that had as soon as been human, lengthy in the past. A creature who, like Althea, were gifted with abnormal and effective present, and who, like her, would wander the cosmos for so long as there has been life to be observed, bearing witness to the universe's everlasting dance of delivery, existence, demise, and rebirth. And so, the cycle continued, eternal and unbroken, because the stars burned shiny overhead, and the universe sang its limitless tune of existence. Althea's frame changed into gone now, ate up with the aid of the tough realities of time and the elements. However, her spirit lived on. She would keep to look it over the galaxy, guiding and protective folks who wanted it, until the day came when there was nobody left who required her protection, and her mission became finally done. In the intervening time, she might explore the countless worlds that lay scattered across the celebrities, seeking out the alternative survivors of her historic race, the opposite immortals who shared her curse and her burden. She would share stories with them, and examine from them, and possibly, collectively, they may find a manner to break the cycle that had bound them for see you later. Or perhaps, they might in reality find solace inside the knowledge that they have been no longer by myself, that there had been others obtainable who understood the weight of the eternity that they bore. The wind picked up, rustling the sparse grasses that grew at the barren planet's surface. It changed into cold, and cruel, and unforgiving, much like the universe that had spawned it. But to Althea, it was also a reminder of the beauty and the wonder that lay hidden simply beyond the horizon, waiting to be located. And so, she lifted her gaze yet again towards the heavens, and started to stroll another time, her bare FD sinking into the tender, crimson soil, her coronary heart filled with wish and wonder, as she set out all over again to explore the endless opportunities that lay before her. She had been wandering the galaxy for infinite millennia now, ever for the reason that day she had first been granted this atypical and powerful gift. At first, it were a curse, this never-ending life, this burden of expertise and enjoy that she could not percentage with all people else. But over the years, she had discovered to embrace it, to find solace inside the countless cycle of existence and loss of life, rebirth and renewal. And now, she felt surely alive, simply loose, as she journeyed from global to international, looking for the stories and the secrets and techniques that all held, sharing her very own reports, her very own knowledge, with people who have been inclined to concentrate. As she walked, she concept of the infinite beings she had met over the centuries, the myriad of cultures and civilizations she had encountered, and the first-rate diversity of life that existed within the universe. Some have been cruel and heartless, their societies built upon the backs of the weak and the helpless. However, there have been many more who have been kind and beneficent, who had proven her real hospitality and friendship, providing her safe haven and meals, and listening with rapt interest as she shared her memories of instances long beyond. Althea's memory drifted back to at least one precise global, a lush, verdant planet blanketed in towering forests and teeming with existence. It became a global wherein the people have been easy and humble, living in concord with nature, their lives centered across the cycles of the seasons and the rhythms of the earth. She had stayed with them for plenty months, coaching them about the stars and the constellations, displaying them how to navigate through the location of the solar and the moon, and sharing her information of the flowers and animals that dwelt upon their global. In Go Back, they had shown her the way to giggle and how to love, how to locate joy within the easy pleasures of existence, and a way to locate peace inside the midst of chaos. The wind howled again, wearing with it the faint fragrance of ozone and the promise of a drawing near storm. Althea smiled to herself, taking into consideration the numerous extra adventures that lay beforehand of her, of the new worlds she might discover and the new pals she might make. And because the first fat drops of rain started to fall from the sky, she raised her face toward the heavens once more, letting the cool, clean water wash away the dirt and the dust of her journey, and put together her for something demanding situations and wonders awaited her just over the horizon. She were walking for what felt like hours, following the route that destiny had apparently laid out earlier than her. The trees grew closer together right here, their branches intertwining overhead to form a canopy that blocked out most of the sky. The air grew thick with the sounds of birdsong and the rustling of leaves, and he or she determined herself buzzing alongside to the melodies, her steps falling into a clean rhythm that seemed to fit the beat of her heart. As she rounded a bend inside the route, she caught her breath in marvel. Before her lay a small, crystalline lake, its surface mirroring the clouds that scud throughout the sky above. The water was so nevertheless that it reflected every element of the wooded area that surrounded it, growing a dizzying array of picks and colors that appeared to shift and trade with every passing moment. And within the middle of the lake, an unmarried, ideal island rose out of the water, its shore coated with trees and its center dominated via a large, ancient oak, its branches spreading extensive to shape a cover that sheltered the island from the factors. She knew, sincerely, that this was the region she were trying to find. This was wherein she would discover the solution to her prayers, the key to regaining her mortality. With renewed determination, she stepped forward, feeling the smooth, spongy ground giving way underneath her as she sank into the rich, loamy soil. As she drew closer to the lake, she should sense the air around her growing charged with power, as though the very fabric of truth changed into transferring and warping, getting ready to grant her the gift she so desperately sought. With a deep breath, she waded into the cool, clear water of the lake, feeling it waft over her naked toes and up her legs, washing away any lingering doubts or fears. As she reached the middle of the lake, the water rose up to fulfill her, surrounding her on all facets, its surface rippling lightly in the breeze. And there, before her, stood the large all-right tree, its ancient trunk stretching up closer to the heavens, its branches unfold extensive, inviting her in. With a final step, she observed herself status below the tree's canopy, the leaves rustling gently above her head, as if whispering words of encouragement. She raised her gaze to fulfill the trees, feeling its ancient awareness and strength coursing via her veins, and for a moment, she knew that she changed into home. And in that immediate, she felt the ties that shore her to her immortal lifestyles start to get to the bottom of, felt the load of her never-finishing life begin to raise from her shoulders. For the first time in limitless millennia, Althea felt in reality mortal, definitely human, and as the remaining vestiges of her immortality faded away, she knew that she became equipped to start anew. As she stood there, basking within the glow of the placing sun and the warm temperature of the embrace of the amazing oak, she found out that she were given a second hazard, a risk to stay her lifestyles anew, to make errors and analyze from them, to enjoy joy and sorrow, love and loss. And because the first star started to twinkle into existence inside the deep blue sky above, she knew that this changed into simplest the beginning of a new and wondrous journey, one that might take her to locations she had in no way dared to dream of earlier than. With a sigh of contentment, she reached up to brush a stray lock of hair from her face, feeling the gentle, cool breeze caress her skin, and for the primary time for all time, she felt actually alive.